Soul Sister series, In Pursuit of a Pleasure-Filled Life.
Harvey Weinstein. So after our back-to-back events last weekend, we had this discussion about, because I had asked you if you had read Lupita Nyong'o's piece about her unfortunate interaction with Weinstein, and you talking about how, because I was just like, I realized for myself, and I've been thinking about this a lot since we had that talk, and even today, situations in which I, as a woman, have had to negotiate, being in a situation and my body, but I've blocked it out, And when I look at situations like this, I just think, it's so crazy that actresses have this terrible experience where they feel like they have to kind of negotiate their bodies because they might be doing a role where they have to be, and you were just like, this happens to women in every and on every single level. And it made me think about not only that, but why I didn't see that immediately. Because since you said that, I've been watching the news, and every morning on GMA, they're just like, another woman has come forward, and another man.
And I was with Kathleen and Nakiba. We were doing some planning, and I said to them, I have never experienced sexual harassment in the workplace by a man. And they were like, you just don't know it. I was like, okay, first of all, don't tell me what I don't know. Why don't y'all give me examples of what you've experienced, since you said you've experienced it, and maybe it will jolt my memory or get me to remember. I've never, not in the workplace. I have in the workplace. Never in the workplace. I've experienced more explicit and implicit racism, but I have not experienced sexism or sexual harassment
in the workplace.
It has never happened. And I remember walking with Nakiba, and I said, well, maybe just because my body, my presence, who I am, does not evoke that type of response in the workplace. And she was like, fuck out of here. I said, I'm just telling you, at work it has never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened from someone above me or equal to me. What has happened, because I've dated people in the workplace.
I as well.
Right? I've dated people I've worked with. I've flirted with people I've worked with. I've never felt like, oh God, someone is coming on too strong and I don't know what to do.
In the workplace
I feel unsafe. Oh my God, that person said something that harms me. So I have been not struggling, but there is a lot of gray in this. There's a lot of gray. People are making it white and black, and it's like this much gray and like this much white and black. And so I think that all women have had interactions with men that have made them feel physically, psychologically, financially unsafe or insecure. I've never had it in the workplace. And I think because of just the nature of where I've worked and the nature of my personality.
But then the other thing is about the gray, because we've had that conversation about there's some women who would identify certain things as sexual harassment that I wouldn't.
And so, but that's why I'm starting in the workplace. So that's why I'm starting in the workplace.
Yeah. Okay.
Because outside of work, I think the gray gets even larger.
Yeah.
But in work, I'm very, very ain't nobody ever rolled up on me that made me feel uncomfortable. And anytime a man has ever flirted or said something that someone could have received as inappropriate and harassment, I didn't receive it as inappropriate harassment.
Right.
And my mom and I were talking about this. Me and my mom sat down and talked about it, and she was even saying, she was like, sometimes in the workplace, somebody will say something, and you'll say something back, and it could be all inappropriate, but you down. And she was like, and when you're not down, you be like, you give them the face, and they be like, oh, not today, Jesus. Right. And my mom was saying it, right? She was like, she used to work in construction, and she used to work in these different places. And so, I was thinking, like, and I don't know what the answer is, but I think male-female energy, you know, it plays, and I think that we need to, it's just like with bullying, I think we need to be very clear about what it means when we talk about sexual harassment or assault at work, right? You're my boss and you're saying, which is what Harvey Weinstein and the jokers from Fox are being accused of. Like, if you don't do this thing, you will not work here.
Right.
I think that is a clear level
of
like,
using power.
You don't do this, you don't give me this, you don't have this, I won't give you this. I think that is one thing.
Yep.
I think someone making comments about your body or who you are runs a spectrum. You know, Claire McCaskill, who's a senator, said, you know, she was talking to one of her superiors and she was nervous about something. This was when she was young, and she was like, you know, going to him to ask for his support and how she could manage the thing, and he was like, do you have your knee pads? Intimating that if she wanted to get this done, she was going to have to suck some D. And I can see how that, that is what it is, right? I think it is a balance of how do we, just like we I teach black people and kids to stand up when somebody says something and deal with the consequences of it. I think we also have to get to a place where we're saying women have to say something, either to the person who's saying it, to someone else who can support them. Somebody made a good point on MSNBC. They were like, human resources isn't for you, it's for the company. Human resources is not here to protect you. Human resources is here to protect the company. So you can go to human resources, but human resources is like, how do I keep the company maintained? Right. It isn't like, oh wow, Zenzele, we really have to
how can we help
fix this
like,
for you.
No,
it's like let's keep the company. So, and then, so that's work, right? And I've never had any of those experiences, at least I can't recall any right now, that ever made me feel like my job was in jeopardy, my dignity was in jeopardy, the way people were looking at me was in jeopardy. I've never experienced that. Now, when we talk about outside of work and in social settings, I think this is where, because you had given the example of you and your girlfriends walking down the street and a dude hollering and then being like, why is he talking to me? And then you checking them like, well, when we were somewhere else and a dude hollered that you thought was handsome, that wasn't street harassment. That's what you're thinking on my nerves. Right? For me, especially when I was single, I was single and being like, hey,
we've been dealing with this since we were in high school. Okay, it's just been like, yo, my man wants to talk to you, my dude wants to talk to you.
What's up?
Or you go by like,
what's good? Hey,
what
shorty.
do you do? If you like him and he's cute,
you talk
to him.
And if he don't, you be like, and that's where I'm like, you know, there's the middle. If you kick it right, I might kick it with you. If I'm not attracted, I'm not attracted. And all I want you to do is be able to accept the fact that I'm not attracted and step off. And then you have the women who's like, don't tell me to smile. Oh, y'all need to go to another. Can y'all live somewhere else so that the rest of us who's fine with like engaging with men, and when I say fine with either saying thank you or smiling or ignoring and not wanting to criminalize it and not wanting to make a case against it.
Because I've been on both sides of that, and I never in my life, I remember the first conversation I had with a chick about like, oh, you know, like signing a petition to, you know, to criminalize dudes who say stuff to you on the street. I have been on both sides of that where some guy was, and I've had a bad day, and I'm just like, you don't know my day, so don't tell me to smile or whatever. But it has never occurred to me to be like, that dude is bothering me, and we need to come together to make sure that he... First of all, my thing is just like, when you're in public, like, pretty much... I mean, okay, I'm not saying that anybody can say anything to you.
Anybody can say anything to you.
They can't say anything to you. All you can control is like how you deal with it.
Now they can't put their hands on you.
That's of course not. That's different.
So I'm like, you can't legislate someone saying something to you.
Just be like, hey, hey queen, hi, good morning. Oh, you look nice today. Thank you very much. Or just keep moving.
In New York, so because I've been lucky enough to travel so many places, I've gotten a feel for how other places just kind of engage. When I'm in the Midwest, when I'm in the South, even when I'm in the West Coast, people speak. People say good morning. How are you? Hey, oh, that's people speak. And in New York, we don't speak.
Right.
New York, I was going somewhere and I was in a good mood. I came out my house. The sun was shining. Music was blasting. I got on the bus. Bus driver Rasta. He got the red, black, and green. I said, "Good morning. How's your day going?" He looked at me like I was crazy. And I repeated myself because he didn't speak to me. I said, "Hey, are you having a good afternoon?"
Yeah.
And he was like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Right. And how do you not feel disrespected, dissed, if you're coming with like sunshine
I'm just
and
trying to see
happiness
you, bro.
and somebody's just like,
"Don't fucking talk to me," which is his right. Which is his right.
Which is his right, but it's your right to feel it the way that you feel about it.
I was just
as well.
trying to be like, I see you.
Yeah.
You exist. I see you.
Yeah.
And even my mom said it. She said lots of times. And I was like, "Damn, Mommy, what you want it?" She said lots of times men just want you to see them. To acknowledge that they exist. You see me.
Yeah.
Lots of times. Just see me. And I said, that's the damn truth. Because in every neighborhood that I've ever lived in, I knew all my neighborhood dudes. I saw them.
And I will say that 9 times out of 10, whenever a dude says hi or peace or whatever, and I acknowledge him, that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Keep going.
Sometimes I try to say hi to good morning to grandmas, and they be looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm just saying, "Good morning, Mommy. Good morning." That's it. All I'm saying is good morning, Mommy. I'm just trying to see you and you see me and just be a little human. And I'm not making excuses for men, and I'm not talking about the men who's throwing bottles and then grabbing women and all of that. Of course.
Right.
Like, stop it. Like, let's stop trying to make that be. If that was the norm, we'd all be fucked up.
Right.
If that was the norm, every woman would be fucked up all the time. We'd all be afraid to go out. If that was the norm. I'm talking about how we connecting on a human level. We're just finishing this up. But I also wanted to share with you the next book. Because I read this book all the time. You ever read it?
Yeah, I have this. I have to reread it.
I read it once a year. So now that we're going into winter, I will say after the winter solstice, we'll go into this. Because, the winter
This is a good book for winter.
Because it's deeply feminine.
Yeah.
Winter is deeply feminine. All you're doing is contemplating and thinking and... some call it depression. I call it a deep reflection of your life. And I think that for the winter,
I like it.
A deep reflection of your life is a return to love.
Yeah.
This is really a spring book, but we read it in
That's
fall.
a spring book.
This is a spring book, but whatever. We're going to finish it up before December 21st. And, the winter solstice, ushering in winter, we're going to start with a return to love.
Soul Sister Series, in pursuit of a pleasure-filled life, though shit keeps on happening.